You're listening to Hawk Talk with former Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Play fake, going to roll right, dumps it off into the right flat to Michael Bumpus, who bounces off of one tackler, gets inside the 40 down to the 35-yard line.
Powered by Seahawks.com.
Matt pump fakes, looking to the goal line. He throws it into the end zone. Touchdown Seahawks! It's Michael Bumpus with a diving catch in the end zone. A 10-yard touchdown reception for Bumpus, and the kid out of Washington State has found himself a place on this team.
Now, here's your host, Nasser Kyobe.
Welcome into another edition of Hawk Talk. Unfortunately, the Seahawks on the losing end on Sunday Night Football falling to the Packers 30-13 at Lumen Field. We're broadcasting from the Seahawks podcast studio presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. Bumping. Yeah, man, that was tough.
Yeah, that was tough. It was so tough. I convinced myself the score was 30-10 for like 2 segments in the post-game show.
Yeah, you did that.
It was 30-13. And the Packers, man, they're just ready to go from jump. They wasted no time.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the Packers are a good football team. I think the Seahawks obviously didn't play their best football game on Sunday night, and it's tough in this league. There's a lot of good teams, and you got to come with it every Sunday. And unfortunately, Seahawks fell to the Packers. Let's get right into it. What had happened?
See, what had happened was
On Hawk Talk.
So yesterday was the first time the Seahawks had hosted a game on Sunday Night Football in front of fans since 2019, which is wild to me. Obviously, I believe there was a couple. I know the Patriots game in 2020.
Yep.
You know, other than staff members, me and you and about 15 other people were in there for
It
that.
was quiet in that one.
Yeah, but that was a good one. So we were definitely hoping for some of that, magic and prime time under the lights. Unfortunately, that was not the case. And the game didn't start well for the Seahawks right off top. It was tough for them to start. The Packers come out of the gate hot. They take the opening kickoff back about 39 yards, set them right up. 2 plays later, Riq Woolen gets called for unnecessary roughness penalty after a hit on Jordan Love. Then Josh Jacobs did the rest. This was a drive about Josh Jacobs. He had 9 touches, capped off a 10-play, 63-yard drive with a 1-yard touchdown. That made the score 7-0.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 touches in that drive. They set the tone and said, look, this is our best player. You're going to have to try to stop him. On the next drive, after finding DK for a 15-yard gain on first down, the Hawks would be forced to punt 3 plays later. That was a nice dime over the top in the Honey Hill shot that Geno threw, man. DK had a couple of big catches. The Packers would answer right back with another long drive. They go 8 plays, 80 yards, ending with a 13-yard touchdown to Romeo Doubs that made the score 14-0 Green Bay. But then the Hawks got on the board. Their next drive, they find JSN. Again, JSN doing what he does. And then a 16-yard run by Charbonnet. That set up a field goal and made the score 14-3 Green Bay. You're feeling okay at this point. You go, Green Bay gets the ball twice. They put up 14. You get the ball, and you're thinking, all right, just put something on the scoreboard, and you should be fine.
No, and you're absolutely right. You definitely didn't feel like the game was out of reach by any point. You're like, okay, the defense is going to get it figured out, and they actually did. After that 14-3 score, the Packers would get points on their next drive once again, going 8 plays, 51 yards, ending with a Brandon McManus field goal. That made the score 17-3. But the Seahawks, they finally start getting things going. Grubb and Geno Smith and the offense marches down the field, getting all the way in the red zone, but unfortunately, disaster struck once again for the 4th time this season. Geno Smith was intercepted in the end zone, and the Seahawks would walk away with no points. That one was crucial, man.
It was.
Because at the very least, you're hoping to get some points at 17-6, but obviously you want to score. They had a great drive, were unable to get any points, which really hurt them there. And the Packers would get points on their final drive of the first half, topped up by 3 penalties, including a 34-yard pass interference on Riq Woolen. They would settle for 3 points, and the teams would go into the locker room at a 20-3 score. But the Seahawks wouldn't get the ball coming out of the second half.
Yeah, you're like, all right, 20-3. It doesn't feel like after those first few drives, you felt like the Seahawks were trying to find their groove, and they were close. So they got the ball to start the second half and would have to punt negative plays. There's a few drives this game where there were some negative plays. There was a sack and there was a holding. It was just a disaster. The Hawks defense would force a punt on their next drive, and then a disaster struck on 1st and 10 from the Packers' 24-yard line. Geno Smith under pressure got hit low and had to leave the game because of a knee injury. That kind of got me going a little bit.
Yeah.
We know the rules. You got to hit the quarterback in the torso. You got a guy diving at Geno's ankles, his knees, whatever you want to call it, twist him up. And for the first time, I saw Geno like begging for a foul, but I go, no, this was legit, though. You see quarterbacks beg all the time for fouls, but he didn't get it. So I'm interested to see if that player got fined or if the NFL is going to communicate with Mike McDonald and say, hey, we should have called that. A weak consolation, but at least they would acknowledge that something went wrong there.
No, it's a penalty. You can't go low. It's pretty obvious, and it sucks for Geno, too, because you're I understand when we talk about rules, everything's protecting the quarterback. Of the things they want to protect, it's stuff like that. It's quarterbacks getting knocked out for an extended amount of time. I was a defensive player. I understand how hard it is to play defense in this league. There was no intent there, but a penalty is a penalty.
It is.
And we would have taken those 15 yards and maybe potentially gotten better position. So then Sam Howell gets his first playing time in a Seahawks uniform in the regular season, and he has first play, he throws a ball to JSN, he gets tackled for like a -1 yard. Seahawks end up kicking a field goal. So that would make the score 20-6. You're still within a 2-possession game. Packers would answer with a field goal on their own on the next drive. That made the score 23-6. The Seahawks would have 2 really rough possessions on offense. A lot of sacks, just not very good, combining for -6 yards bump, but then the defense would try to keep the Hawks in it.
Yeah, Ernest Jones, he forced a fumble on Josh Jacobs, and then Jay Love, right place, right time. He picks it up 5 plays later. The Seahawks found the end zone for the first time. We're going to break this play down. Zach Charbonnet took it 24 yards. That made the score 23-13 with just over 11 minutes left. The Packers would turn the ball over on downs on the next drive. Then things would get worse for the Seahawks when Sam Howell was picked off 2 plays later. If they would have scored on that drive, I think the feeling in that stadium is different. The feeling on the sideline is different. But it's tough for Sam Howell to come into this situation and you expect him to perform at a high level. I know they say he should be preparing like he's a starter. He is preparing like the starter, but you ain't a starter till you win a game, and you feel that. It's a bit different when you're in there and guys are flying around.
No question about it. I mean, the Seahawks were still in the game as much as it felt how lopsided as it was. They scored there, and they're down 3. Now we have a football game.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they don't. To your point, Sam Howell, horrible position to be in. Unless you've done it, unless you've been absolutely cold and then have to then get in the game, they're like, here's the play call, go, get the protections, get the years. Like, hold on a minute, I don't get a position to like run down. This isn't basketball. We can pass the ball around. I can kind of feel the game out a little bit. You're the quarterback. So I'm not making excuses. It is what it is.
Second-year guy, too, man.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that didn't go well for the Seahawks there. Packers capitalize on turnover. Jordan Love finds Romeo Doubs again. Back in the end zone, 22-yard touchdown. That sealed the deal. That made the score 30-13. Effectively ended the game for the Seahawks. And the box score kind of told the story of what it was. Packers outgained the Seahawks 369-208. Packers one-time possession, turnover battle, outrushed the Seahawks 140-80. And it's a bummer bump because the Seahawks did have an opportunity to make up some ground in the NFC West. Unfortunately, they couldn't do that.
Yeah, you had an opportunity, and you didn't come through. But something that we've been saying, honestly, for the last 3 weeks is like, you can split these 2 games and be fine. I'm talking about the Vikings and the Green Bay Packers, right? We'll talk about the Vikings in another podcast. But you got to find the positives. And despite the score being 30-13, and you look at the box scores, 369 yards to 208, there were some things that happened that were positive. Obviously, got some work to do, but hey, more games to be played.
Yeah, no, everything is still in front of the Seahawks.
Yep.
We know that. Coach McDonald said it. We'll talk about this extensively over the next couple of weeks and shows. The Seahawks went out. Right now, they're still NSUS champs. Everything in front of them is still there. We saw some positive things. We'll talk about the defense, how things went. So still in front of them, still a hard loss to swallow for the Seahawks. They were on a run, 4-game win streak. Unfortunately, it came to an end last night. We're broadcasting live from the Seahawks podcast studio presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. But there was some people who did make some plays. Let's talk about it. Playmakers.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
Playmakers.
Show them what time it is! Holy catfish!
But we're going to start off with receivers. Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. He's been doing his thing. We've been saying this guy's praises for week after week after week. 10 receptions, 83 yards. 7th game in a row he's led the Seahawks in receiving. He's now 6 yards shy of 1,000 yards on the season. Jason's Mr. Consistent. He's doing his thing. He's been there every single week. Obviously, I was hoping he'd get to 1,000 yards yesterday. I was hoping he'd do all of it in a Seahawks victory. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But still loving what we're seeing from JSN. He's definitely proven who he is, why we drafted him, and he shows it each and every week.
He's their go-to guy now. He works the middle beautifully, the dig routes, the deep crosses, and all that good stuff on 3rd downs. He's reliable. Geno is looking to get him the football. I watched the film today, and JSN is his first read more times than not for a good reason because his catch percentage has been crazy. So JSN, keep up the good work. He'll get that 1,000 yards next game for sure. Next guy up, Zach Charbonnet, 8 carries for 54 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 reception for 12 yards. Not the touches that we thought he was going to get, but when you're down 14-0 early, play calling is going to change a little bit. But he did show you a burst on that touchdown that we're going to break down here later. It was it was nice to see. He didn't necessarily back up the 131-yard performance, but he showed that he can just keep getting downhill, even if he doesn't touch the ball as often as we would like him to do. But as a running back, you understand. If you're down and you got to score quickly, running the ball ain't going to do it.
Yeah, no, Zach, again, when he does touch the football, especially the last 2 weeks, he's shown what he can do. He had another run that was less impressive in terms of numbers, but he got north-south, kind of broke a couple tackles in the backfield, looked like it was going to be negative play. He ends up pushing ahead for a first down, so I love what Zach's doing. Hopefully this game against the Vikings, the Seahawks won't get behind 14-0. They can play a little bit more balance and really commit to that run game like we saw in Arizona. Flip it over to the quarterback, Geno Smith. Statistically, completion percentage-wise, he had a good game. He's 15 of 19, 149 yards, was playing really well. Obviously, there's 2 throws he'd want to have back. You can't turn the ball over in the red zone. He understands that, but he wasn't playing horribly. And the thing that really sucked about it is because we've talked about this a million times over. So far this year, when Geno has had a bad interception, he has always come back in the third or fourth quarter and either brought the Seahawks back to win or right there in it. We just didn't get to see that, unfortunately. It was taken from him. So hopefully Geno Smith gets healthy and he's ready to rock against the Vikings. So we're definitely praying for him and hope that knee, gets right.
Before that pick, man, he was like 11 for 11, 100 yards or something like that. He was playing a good game. It's just so unfortunate, man. Ernest Jones has another good game, 9 tackles and 1 forced fumble. I'm going to combine him with Leonard Williams, another sneaky good day, 7 tackles, 1 TFL, 1 quarterback hit. The Packers made it part of their game plan to make sure Leonard didn't go off. They were double teaming the heck out of him. I mean, they were making my man work, and he still filled up the stat sheet a little bit. I was proud of just how resilient he was, man. It was a physical game for Leonard Williams.
Yeah, and the one big play he made, he had a big tackle for loss in that game. And it was because somehow there's miscommunication. Like, no one blocked him. Not saying he wouldn't have made the play anyway.
Right.
But, Leonard at this point in the year, what he's done, he's probably going to be an all-pro, I think. At least second team at the very least. He's a guy you circle. Dave Wyman always says an extra meeting guy.
Extra meeting guy.
He's an extra meeting guy.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll finish here with Playmakers. Kobe Bryant, just being consistent. 8 tackles, 7 solo. Couple touchdown-saving tackles. At the safety position, you don't want your safeties up there in tackles every single week unless they're staying in the box 100% of the time. When they're playing in a deep half, deep third, quarter, whatever it is, you don't want them getting that far in tackles. It is what it is. But I love what we're seeing from them because their sure tacklers are getting people down on the ground. Kobe Bryant has been really good. He's been grading out really good, so happy to see that there. Let's talk about the receivers. It wasn't the biggest output in that room, but what do we see on Sunday?
All right, we talked about JSN, 12 targets, 10 receptions, 83 yards, 6 more yards. He'll get that 1,000-yard season. DK Metcalf, 3 targets, 3 receptions, 28 yards. I would love to see him get more involved in his offense. Tyler Lockett, 1 target, 1 reception for 22, him as well. Got Noah Fent had 7 targets, 3 receptions for 15 yards. Zach Charbonnet had 1 reception for 12. Bobo had a big third down, I believe, pickup, 1 reception, 8 yards. And A.J. Barner had 1 for 5 as a group. 173 yards, 8.7 per clip, along a 25 that belongs to JSN.
Yeah, I love that route he did too. That was another one he gets open, and I just thought we're going to see a little bit more of that. It's unfortunate, but you got to stay on the field. You can't get behind the sticks, the sacks, all the plays that happen there. But we've talked about it several times already. One of the bright spots on offense was the Seahawks running game getting going, trying to get back into this football game, and that's when Zach Charbonnet took it into the end zone from 24 yards out.
Mode. Back to the line of scrimmage. Quick count, handoff to Charbonnet. Got blockers, goes right side, turns upfield, 10, 5, touchdown, Seahawks! Well-called series by Ryan Grubb in the booth next door to us, but very well done by Sam Howell, finding his receivers and then changing up with a run right side. Caught the Packers sleeping, good blockers out in front of Charbonnet, and he scores his 3rd touchdown in 2 weeks.
A couple things happened here. Some adjustments, man. So last week we saw the guard tackle pull. Today or yesterday, it was the center guard pull. An adjustment they made, they're in a 2-by-2 formation. You have the tight end to the right side of Sam Howell. Typically, when they're running this kind of pin and pull type concept, you have the tight end attached to the offensive line, and it doesn't give him the angle to really try to seal the edge right there.
Right.
So what they do is they bump him out in a traditional 2-by-2 type look. Therefore, he has the angle on that end and does a great job. I believe that is A.J. Barner. No, Noah Fent. Noah Fent does a good job just sealing the end, and now you got Sundale and Laumea getting to the outside, getting around, and then a big block over there by the wide receiver as well, getting to that second level. This is what they imagined when they were drawing up this pin pull to the outside. I think this had to be a halftime or a late game adjustment, moving the tight end off of the attachment to the offensive line just to give him space, widen him up so he can block down and get that angle. The rest now is just Zach Charbonnet, man. He's showing that speed, showing the vision and the balance on the sideline, getting in and giving everyone and Lumen a little bit of hope.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that we've been able to see the wheels from Charbonnet, that he can separate from people in the open field. And you mentioned it, that was JSN on that block, kind of cracks down.
Yep.
Anytime you're seeing, really, receivers don't get enough credit for this. More often than not, if you see a big run by a running back, there was a block by a receiver downfield, cleaning that thing up. So love to see it from JSN. And we know they can do it. We've seen it in spurts. But football is a game of, you got people, it sounds simple, but you got to stay on schedule. You got to be here when you're behind the sticks, when you're not staying on the football field. It's hard to get some of these concepts. It's hard to get to some of these plays. But you're right. I love what we saw from Charbonnet. He was able to give the Seahawks fans a little bit of hope as they were hoping to get back in that football game. We're broadcasting live from Seahawks Podcast Studio, presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. This NFL season, feel every play, every hit, every moment with the Sony 1000 XM5 noise-canceling headphones. The official partner of the Seattle Seahawks, and with premium noise cancellation, you're in the zone, no distractions, just pure football. Whether you're in your living room or on the go, you'll never miss a beat with Sony headphones. Bump. We've been on a good run.
Yep. It was fun.
We've been on a good run. We were down a little bit. We were down bad, lost 5 of 6.
Yep.
It's been up and down, right? We were 3-0, lost 5 of 6.
We can handle this. We've been through a lot.
Won 4 in a row. Unfortunately, Seahawks could not get it done. The clock just ran out.
A knee taken by Hundley. They're just going to let the clock wind down. Not even going to bother taking that last time out.
Yeah, but it was one of those days for the Seahawks. They didn't have it. You know, you talk about it in baseball. Sometimes you don't have your fastball, and we don't have your fastball. Sometimes they jump on you in early innings. That kind of happened in the game on Sunday. Struggled offensively, allowing 7 sacks, only getting to the end zone once. And obviously the big story coming out of the game was Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Completely changed the projection of where the game was going, the plays, the offense, everything they've practiced. He's getting all the reps. So we are praying he's out there next week. I want to see a healthy Geno Smith, of course, as we head down this stretch run.
Yeah, I love to see Geno out there. It doesn't sound too serious, but you never really know, right? Right after the game, Mike McDonald talks to the media. He's going to be optimistic as long as there isn't really evident ligament damage or broken bone, anything like that. But we shall see. Sam, how he struggled. And that's fair, man. He was thrown out there with the Wolves.
Yep.
You know, ain't got any reps all year when it comes to regular season play. So I didn't really expect much out of it. If he does get the start this week, we shall see. He'll have a full week to prepare as if he is a starter. The Seahawks turned the ball over twice and lost time of possession. That is crucial. And then Josh Jacobs. If Derrick Henry and Saquon aren't having the year they're having, we got more eyes and ears on this young man. Finished the day with 136 total yards and a touchdown. And the Seahawks, man, they slowed him down in the second half, but it was that first 2 to 3 drives that really got him going and put points on the board.
Yeah, he finished with 94 rushing yards. I believe he had 70 at the half. So the damage was done in the first quarter, and that's the other thing. So shout out to the Seahawks defense and the coaching staff for making that adjustment. I think sometimes in years past with our defense recently, if we were getting gashed with something in the first quarter, we were getting gassed with it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So they made the adjustment. Unfortunately, it was after the Packers had jumped up to a 14-0 lead, but it was good to see them make that second half adjustment. Hopefully they can kind of correct the course a little bit. The last 2 games, we've allowed points on the first possession, so hopefully coming up, the Seahawks can kind of figure that out. And then shout out JSN. We talked about him, team leading, 7th straight game, leading team receivers, and Jack Charbonnet was productive with what he had. So didn't go the Seahawks' way, but I'm hoping we can figure it out because everything is still in front of him. But we've talked about being a playoff game every week. Well, this Sunday's a playoff game.
Well, you just played a playoff team in the Green Bay Packers. All right, you felt that. So now you get to go up against the Vikings, who can potentially win their division.
Right.
It's going crazy with the Detroit Lions, all the injuries they have. So they have something to play for too. So you know they're going to get their best shot. And get ready for Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Hawkinson, Sam Darnold, the Brian Flores defense. Should be a good one. But let's pray for Geno and Olu, make sure they're good to go.
Yeah, no question about it. And I said that this is obviously a playoff game on Sunday. They've been playing playoff games for the last 4 weeks. Their season would have been in trouble if they didn't go down there and take care of the 49ers finally. We would have been in trouble if you didn't beat the Cardinals at home. Would have been in trouble if you didn't beat the Cardinals on the road. Would have been in trouble if you didn't beat the So they've been used to this atmosphere. So let's just see them take it that next step. Close out the regular season at home with a win. So hopefully we'll be back at Lumen Field.
Keep hope alive. Let's go. Come on.
I feel good about it. We'll talk about it, Bump. You mentioned the Vikings. They got some stud linebackers, too.
Yeah, they do. Yes,
Holy
they
smokes.
do.
They can fly around. We will break down everything you need to know about the Minnesota Vikings in our preview podcast. Make sure you can catch us anywhere, Seahawks.com, YouTube under the Seahawks Presser channel, Apple Podcast, Spotify, more. He's Michael Bumpus. I'm Nasser Kyobe. This has been Hawk Talk. Hopefully, we'll be talking to you next Monday about a Seahawks win, but you get you set with the Vikings coming up on Thursday. Talk to you next time.